So here is a little chatbot demo which looks at potentially resolving a challenge that might sometimes come up if you go and watch a lower league football match and you see these players playing but you don't really know much about who they are. So this gives you a quick and easy way of finding out about them, which is quite nice because often I find that a lot of non-league players have got quite interesting backstories, and and it can be good to kind of find out a little bit more about those. So I've built this in IBM Watson Assistant, and the reason that I use Watson Assistant is that it integrates in theory quite nicely with Watson Discovery, where Watson Discovery will allow you to ingest some structured data. And the reason that I chose to do this with Burgess Hill Town Football Club is because Burgess Hill Town's website is written in WordPress, and it's been built quite well in WordPress, which means that actually the structure of the data is pretty good. So that was a fairly obvious one to kind of look to ingest. So let's just drop over to the assistant at the moment, which I've just put onto a page on my website. So if we open that up, it says, "Hi, I'm the Burgess Hill Game Day Assistant. How can I help?" So let's start off with taking this suggestion here and asking who our number 7 is. So it will tell me who the number 7 is, Ollie Allen. So let's try and ask about another player. And this time, instead of typing in the number 7, let's actually write 8 and see if it can deal with that, which it can. Just a little caveat here. I don't actually know whether Ollie is the number 7 or Elliot is the number 8, but I do know that that is returning what I've asked it to return. So in that respect, I'm quite happy that this works as expected. Now let's say that I don't want to ask around numbers and just want to ask on position. So let's ask who is our goalkeeper, and it comes back with who our goalkeeper is. What was our what was our last result? Our last result was a great 2-1 away win in the FA Cup at Corinthian Casuals. But then you'll see that it also then does this search afterwards to kind of look through the website in terms of what else it can kind of find on results. And we can also do the same with fixtures. So when's our next match? And it will come back and tell us when our next match is, which is away at Whitehall in the Isthmian League South East Division. And then it says I had a look through our website and found this, which may be useful, and goes out and looks at other articles from the website which may be related to the next match. However, this is where the integration with Watson Assistant doesn't seem to kind of work as well as it should, because if we look at the Discovery service, when I asked the Discovery service for a article that matches this condition, so basically where the URL of the page equals the location of the fixtures, in which only one result can be true, when I try and run this response in the skill, then it doesn't actually return what I want to. What I've tried to do here is actually do it with the extracted metadata title instead, but let's just swap this over just to kind of prove that it doesn't do what I want it to, and add this in instead. So that has gone in and updated that. So let's now go and try that on here, refresh that, and let's say when's our next match. And you'll see that I don't get the specific result that I want. So that is a bit of a challenge. And in fact, it doesn't even bring up the result at all. So it doesn't even see it as even the fourth most relevant, which is quite frustrating that it doesn't match what clearly works here in the service. That notwithstanding, let's have a little look at how this is built in IBM Watson Assistant. So IBM Watson Assistant works off a basis of intents and entities. So let's have a look at the intents first. So for example, let's have a look at my shirt intent, where I've got some examples of who is our number, who wears shirt number, who's the number. Let's have a look at the results intent. What was our last result? And what Watson will do is that when it trains it, it will look for other kind of language inputs that it considers to be kind of similar to that intent. And if it doesn't know exactly what intent to match it to, it will give the user a choice of intents to match it to help kind of guide them to the right area. The other bit that it has is entities. So you have system entities like time and date and currency and percentage and numbers. And so I'm using numbers for shirt numbers, which we'll look at a little bit more in a minute. And then also other entities that I've put in myself. So like match, because a match can often be described as a game or a fixture or a tie. So I've basically given various options there. So let's just test that again and say when's our next fixture, and that should hopefully give me the same result again. Yep, away at Whitehawk. And then let's also who is Martin Box. And that basically does a search on the website for articles in which Martin Box appears. So that's how those entities potentially work. And then looking at the dialogue, so this is really the thing that holds the whole chat together. So you have your opening, which will just generally be a welcome message. I don't think I've put a great deal in that at the moment. This is dialogue that I was just using to test various bits and pieces. So if we look at my intents and look at my test intent, if there's a bit that I want to test, I can just type into the chat, run a test, and then it will trigger whatever is in that test dialogue. So that's just a handy way of being able to kind of do debugging. Goodbye and thanks we'll ignore for a moment. What can I do? We'll ignore. Let's have a look at shirt. So what shirt is looking for is the shirt intent, and then looking for a system number. And then if it recognizes both the shirt intent and a system number, then depending on what the system number is, then it will respond with the relevant content. So that's why, as I said earlier, I don't know whether Ollie Allen is the number 7, but that's what I expected to kind of appear in that area. And then the way that the fixtures works and the way that the results work is that the fixtures initially will give me a response as to what fixture we have. So I've just got the next 3 hard coded in based on the date that they are between. So using some simple conditional code there to give me the response that I need. And then after it does that, then the assistant jumps to this unnamed node here, where that unnamed node will look to kind of run this query on the discovery service. And that is pretty much how you build those chat experiences. So fairly quick and easy. Only takes a couple of hours to get up and running. Is all something that you can do using IBM's Watson Assistant free trial, on which I have 12 days left. I'm not too sure what happens when this trial is finished, which is why I thought I would record this video, just to kind of keep this for posterity in case the whole thing disappears. Anyway, hope that's been a useful overview of how this works.